We're dealing with a very particular kind of clutter that I really struggle with. We are back again with another installment of my journey to declutter my entire house in 2024. At this point, I have donated at least 8 to 10 trash bags full of stuff, thrown away a ton of trash, recycled multiple bags worth of items, and I've never felt better, so we're going to keep the momentum going, and today we're tackling a whole new batch of items. I'm also very excited to partner with Cricut on today's video, so let's get into it. You guys have seen me deal with so much clutter over the last few months, but today we're dealing with a very particular kind of clutter that I really struggle with. We have already dealt with this cabinet, but there was one thing in here that I could not tackle the last time I decluttered it, and that is all these papers down here. I have random piles of paper all over my house. So we have all of those in there, and then we've also got all this paper up here that we need to deal with. And if you're wondering what all that paper is, it is schoolwork. So my oldest son is in first grade and he brings home a ton of schoolwork. So that's all schoolwork that is collected between pre-K, kindergarten, and now first grade. So I've come up with a solution for all that paper clutter. Now, if you don't want to keep any of it, you obviously don't have to. If your kids bring home a ton of schoolwork and you throw it away, like, don't feel bad, because I throw away a lot. That is not even probably an eighth of what my child has brought home from school. But I've tried to keep just like the good stuff, but today we're gonna really dwindle down the collection, and we're also going to come up with an organization solution. So I'm really excited to share that. If you have kids who are also in school who bring home a ton of paperwork and you do wanna keep some of it, then hopefully you find this helpful. So like I said, if you don't want to keep any of your child's schoolwork, you really don't have to. But for those of you who also struggle with kind of holding a ton of sentimental value in items, then this is for you. So of course, the first thing I'm going to do is go around and grab any loose papers I have around the house. I had them stored all over the place, and I've been telling myself I'll get to them for at least a solid year now. So I was really excited to get this done. Okay, so here we go, actually trying to declutter this stuff. And again, I hold a lot of sentimental value in it, so this is not easy for me. And if you have the same internal struggle, don't feel bad. It's completely normal. Now, I knew I couldn't keep all of this. It's not necessary, but it's also just not practical. I do have an idea going forward to organize it all that I'm going to share with you, but before I can actually implement it, most of this had to go. The key here for me was to do this quickly. If I spent too much time staring at each piece of paper, I could have convinced myself that I needed all of it. I had to just sort of rip the band-aid off and make a very fast choice on each item without giving it too much thought. Another thing that you could do though is take photos of things and keep them in a folder on your iPhone, and that might just help ease the difficulty of tossing this type of stuff. As for the organization of the remainder of these items, we're going to be making milestone boxes. I've been seeing these boxes on Etsy. You can buy a full kit that comes with it all assembled and customized for you, but it is like $75. And I don't know about you, but I'm not about to spend $75 on something like this when I can make it myself. So we're using my Cricut today to make milestone boxes. I've talked about and used my Cricut in countless videos, but if you're unfamiliar with what a Cricut machine is, it's a smart cutting machine, and with it you can make just about anything you set your mind to. I truly cannot think of a better investment. You will absolutely save yourself so much money over time by having and learning to use a Cricut cutting machine. The good news is too that a Cricut machine is incredibly easy to use and learn, so you do not have to feel intimidated. I used Cricut Design Space to quickly throw together my design for my milestone boxes. I think if I were comfortable sharing my last name on the internet, I may have done their first and last names on these boxes, but because I choose not to do that, I did their first and middle names. I also thought a little pencil image was cute. It kind of goes with the theme, but you can obviously do whatever you want. There are endless options available in Cricut Design Space. There are only a few materials needed to make this milestone box. I'm just using some of my Cricut tools and then some black vinyl, transfer tape, and writable vinyl. I'm going to cut out my designs separately. So first I'm cutting my design for my kids' names, and I'm using the black vinyl so it will really stand out. I'm just smoothing the material onto a Cricut cutting mat. I'll load it up into my Cricut Maker, and my Maker will precisely cut my vinyl for me. You can cut a variety of different materials using Cricut. You can cut fabric, fabric, leather, vinyl, iron-on, and so many more. And again, the value of having a Cricut machine is unmatched. Anything I see, whether it be a custom t-shirt or a wooden sign or a doormat or birthday decor for my kids or maybe a custom water bottle, I know I can make it myself and I can make it exactly how I want to and save myself a ton of money. The writable vinyl is for the stickers that I'm going to place on the tabs of each folder for each grade. So that's what you see my Cricut writing out here. And if you want to use my exact design, I will have this design linked in my description box for you. So it will have like the kids' names, designs, and then also the tabs for each folder. So if you decide to recreate this milestone box, you can find the link to everything I'm using in my description box. Once I had all my tabs assembled for my folders, it was time to weed out the excess vinyl. I personally think this part is so satisfying, and this design was rather simple and it was large, so it was easy. But if you're doing a more intricate design, you want to do this slowly just to make sure you don't accidentally lift up a piece you're not supposed to. But once I get this part done, that is where the transfer tape comes in, and this is where it gets fun because you can really start to see your design coming to life. Now we are finally going to assemble our milestone boxes, so I will very carefully hold my design on the transfer tape up against the crate I'm using and just smooth it over really well until all the vinyl is sticking. Then I will peel off the transfer tape and it will leave behind my design. So these crates were $10 each and I got 25 legal size folders for $26. So I was able to make 2 milestone boxes for half the cost of what one box would have cost me if I ordered it assembled online. So I feel really good about my cost savings here, and it's always more special when you hand make something like this. I will have my Cricut Maker as well as all the materials that I used for these milestone boxes and my design linked down below in my description box for you to shop if you are interested. It is always a pleasure to work with Cricut and share all the things that you can do with a Cricut Maker. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Cricut for sponsoring today's video. I would love to hear in the comments below if you have a Cricut machine, tell me what projects you're making right now, or if you plan to purchase one, let me know what you're excited to use it for. But here's how my finished milestone boxes turned out. I just love them so much. Now that I have my fully assembled milestone boxes and I've gone ahead and decluttered a ton of my child's schoolwork, I'm going to start organizing everything into the milestone box. This is something I've seriously been meaning to do for like well over a year, if not even longer. So I'm so glad I finally got this project done. And now I feel like when my son does bring home schoolwork, I'm not going to feel so overwhelmed by it because I know I have a place to store the stuff that I want to keep. And someday when my kids are grown up, either they can take these boxes if they want them, or I can keep them because I don't know, maybe I'll want to. And I can refer back to them as they're grown up and remember all of their cute little school projects that they did. I feel like in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that's when they're bringing home like the really sweet, innocent, cute stuff. And I love to just like look back on the different things that Carson has written and like how his handwriting has changed over time and all of that. So I just think it's so much fun, and I'm really glad that I finally got around to doing this. I tried to speed this way up and also cut it way down because I didn't want to absolutely bore you guys, but this took a really long time, and sometimes that's the case when you're decluttering, and you'll see in a minute, but I ended up having to do a little bit of a second go around because I just did not get rid of enough the first time. So I have kept too much from kindergarten. So I'm gonna have to go through that again. But the good news is I've been able to declutter all of this. So I'm gonna give it one more go around, but I'm not gonna be too hard on myself because I know that I'm likely to save more from like the early years and less from the later years, because I'm sure they're not going to be bringing home quite as many art projects when they're in like, I don't know, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. I'm not going to be too hard on myself, and I can always go back and declutter it again later because this is a journey, not a sprint. So here I'm doing a quick second look at everything that I put in here and trying to get rid of a couple of more things. It's really hard for me, and I can always do this again in the future, but like I said before, I think that the majority of the stuff that I want to keep is going to be when my kids are very small. So I would anticipate that pre-K, kindergarten, first, second are probably going to have a lot of things in them, and then after that it will probably start to dwindle down a little bit as they get older. But you'll have to let me know because I don't have an older child, so I don't really know. So if any of you have an older child who brings home schoolwork, you'll have to let me know if it does start to decrease as they get older or if you feel inclined to keep more as they get older. But here I'm just tossing everything into a trash bag so I can throw that into the recycling since most of it was paper. Only going to put Carson's in this cabinet for now because I need his to be easily accessible because he is the one who's always bringing home schoolwork, but Sutton's not in school yet. He's 2 years old. So I've made his so that I'm ready for the future, but I'm just going to store that downstairs for now because I obviously don't have any schoolwork for him at the moment, but this cabinet is looking so much better. Moving on to our next space that we're going to declutter, and that is Sutton's room. I have done a couple of declutters in his room over time, but because he's 2 years old, I feel like at his age, they change so rapidly and their needs change so rapidly, and the things that they need in their room changes so rapidly that I feel like I have to do it constantly. So today we're mostly focusing on clothes, but we are going through his drawers as well and trying to declutter other things. But the reason why I had to declutter his clothing is because I had found a whole bin worth of stuff for him to grow into and also clothing for him for this coming summer. And I had just thrown them into his drawers and called it a day, but it was looking so disheveled and I really wanted to at least come up with some sort of organization for it and also declutter some of the things that maybe we don't need. I cannot think clearly in a messy space, so before we actually get to the decluttering, I of course wanted to clean up his room a little bit and tidy everything, and then that would just help me have a better mental space to go through all of his stuff. We are going to go drawer by drawer in his room. So the first one that we are going through is his pajamas and his socks. So I took every single thing out of the drawer and threw it onto the floor so I could start going through all of it. He had just an obscene amount of pajamas, and that is because, again, I recently found a bunch of clothes in our basement that belonged to our older son that I forgot that we had. So when I found them, I had already purchased Sutton a bunch of clothes in his current size, like thinking that we didn't have any already. So anyway, now we have like double the pajamas that we would have had because I just forgot this bin was there. So anyway, we're going through them all. We're going to get rid of any that are like ripped or just super stained or they no longer fit him. And we'll get rid of those things and keep all the good ones. Now we're going through all of his pants. Again, he had so many pairs of pants because of the mishap with not realizing that I had a whole bin full of clothes his current size before I went out and purchased some. So we're going to go through all the pants, get rid of a couple pairs just because I wanted to be able to close this drawer properly, and there was so much in here that I couldn't. In the bottom drawers of his dresser, I was keeping extra diapers and some clothes and shoes, but I wanted to move this stuff around and have an organization system that made more sense to me. So we're going to empty both of these drawers out, and I'm of course going through all the items that were in them to determine if there's anything we can part with. He had so many shirts that I didn't have enough hangers to hang all of them. So instead of buying more hangers, I wanted to go through all of his shirts and get rid of a couple of them to make room for the ones that I want to keep. So you'll see me do that in a minute here after I finish going through all of these drawers. This storage space in Sutton's room is such valuable space, and I was just not using it in the best way possible. I had shoved a bunch of clothes up in the top section there that were like overflow from the bins that I had found, and then we have like his extra sheets in here, and I knew there was a drawer full of like infant stuff that we didn't need anymore. So I'm trying to go through this cabinet and get rid of a couple of things, and then we're going to take out all that clothes, those extra sheets, we're going to go through that top drawer, and we're going to make this all make a little bit more sense. I was checking sizes as I went to make sure that I was keeping all of the same sizes together, and a lot of this was clothes that Sutton is going to be growing into, so I'm going to put those into a drawer all together so they're ready to go when we need them. Like I said, we had a bunch of stuff in this top drawer here that I knew we no longer needed. So a ton of bibs. He really never wears these. We also had burp cloths and just random stuff in here that he's not using anymore. And I want to be able to use this space for other things. So we're going to get rid of these. We're going to donate some, and we're just going to keep a few. I feel like this is coming across like we just have drawers and drawers and drawers full of clothes that Sutton is currently wearing, but that is not the case. He's currently in a 2T, and we have clothes all the way up to like 4T and 5T that I'm currently saving for him in his room. So that's why we have so many drawers full of them, because there's just so much for him to grow into. I feel like I go through this drawer all the time, but it still somehow accumulates clutter. So we're going through it once again. A lot of it is trash. So I had like mostly empty diaper rash creams. I had a couple of like sprays or lotions or whatever that I've tried that just didn't work for Sutton. And then we had like all of his sickness related stuff. So like the boogie sucker and stuff like that, like the nose Frida. So anyway, I had to go through this and just figure out what we no longer needed, and I was able to declutter quite a bit from this drawer. The piles on the floor, I'm working on separating out into trash and what is donatable. So everything that's going into the Pampers box are things that I'm planning to donate, and then everything else I'll stick into a different container, and I'll show you all of what we are throwing away in just a minute. Now that I have enough hangers for everything, I'm going back in and hanging up the shirts that I was keeping in a drawer that I didn't have enough hangers for. And then I also had another load of his laundry that I forgot about that I needed to quickly fold or put away. So we're taking care of that as well. But once we get through this, I'm excited to share a little roundup of everything that I was able to declutter from Sutton's room. And then I'm also going to share kind of like my mindset or my thoughts behind the way that I organized the rest of his dressers. So if you're interested in seeing that, then just stay tuned because that is coming next. So here we have everything that I'm going to declutter today. So everything in the diaper box is things that I'm going to donate, and then everything in this little container here is trash. So for the trash, I mean, this is recycling, but a bunch of like socks that don't have matches, and then like random instruction booklets, an old toothbrush. I'm obviously not going to donate that. And then there's like shoes that don't have matches, and like pretty much empty diaper rash cream and stuff. So or anything that's just so stained I would not feel comfortable donating it. So yeah, that's what this bin is. And then over here we've got a bunch of these scub organizers from IKEA. As much as I like these, I'm just not in my like scub organizer era right now, so I am going to donate these because these are affordable enough that if I really needed them I could go out and buy them again. But there may be somebody out there who does not have the money to go out and buy them, so hopefully this reaches that person and they can use them because they're not being used right now, just sitting in my drawers. I was still using a couple of them, but for the most part we phased them out. And then obviously this is like full of clothes, and then there's also some like newborn stuff in there, like burp cloths and bibs and stuff like that. So yeah, all this is going to get donated. All that is going to get either recycled or thrown in the trash. And now I really need to clean his floors. But if you guys want to see what I ended up doing inside all of these and like my reasoning behind it, I figured I'd quickly show you. So obviously I have all of his current size shirts and sweatshirts hung up over here. In this cabinet I have books that we rotate out onto his shelf right there. We're also trying to wean the Binky right now, so we have a basket full of Binkies, and every day when he gets up he has to put his Binkies in the basket and he cannot have them back until it's time to go to bed. So yeah, working on that. And then we've got some travel related stuff here. So we have extra sound machines that run on batteries in case like the power goes out or if we need them again for traveling. We have a slumber pod and an extra like plug-in sound machine to bring with us if we travel somewhere. Got his stuffed animals. We have their Mickey hats for Disney. We are going in September. I'm so excited. And then I just have extra diapers. And then this box up here is full of like his hospital things and like memorabilia type stuff. In the top drawer, this is just blankets, crib sheets. We still do use these sometimes, so I didn't get rid of those yet. But yeah, that's that drawer. It's a little bit full still, but we're making progress here, not perfection. And then this drawer is things he can grow into, some shoes he can grow into. This next drawer is also things he can grow into. And then at the bottom, that's like some of his toys that he keeps in here to play with. This drawer was pajamas. This is his pants. And then this is another grow into. Actually, this isn't grow into. This is for the summer. So this is for the coming summer, the correct size. And then over here, I always keep like extra diapering stuff. I always put dog poop bags or put the diapers in dog poop bags. So that's what that is. These are his overnight diapers. His regular ones stay up here. And then we have like, I mean, I never use it, but it's one of these, goes over the changing mat, but I find that it's more harm than good a lot of the time, but I do have it just in case. Nail clippers, boogie pickers, sickness related stuff, and like creams. Close that box. And then we always keep his bath towels and like washcloths in here, and then an extra pack of wipes. And at the bottom, this right now is just a couple sleep suits and a pair of boots. It's obviously not perfect, and the thing is, this is always going to be like ever changing and evolving as he grows. He's still in a crib right now, and I don't see him being moved into a big boy bed anytime soon, but when he does, I'm sure I'm gonna have to rearrange things all over again. So at least for now, things are good and a lot less cluttered. I feel like the majority of his drawers right now are clothes he can grow into or clothes for the next season, which I'm fine with. So I feel pretty good about how much I was able to declutter his room today. Now we're going to give his room a good vacuum, make sure we're getting into all the crevices and underneath all of his furniture. We're also going to vacuum off his rocking chair. And then that is going to be the end of this week's video. So I hope this video gave you all kinds of motivation, gave you some ideas for how to organize your kids' schoolwork. You'll have to let me know if you decide to recreate a milestone box at home. I'm absolutely loving ours. I want to say thank you again to Cricut for sponsoring today's video. And a huge thank you to all of you who are watching this week's video, who are subscribed to my channel. It truly means the world to me, and I could never express to you how thankful I am for each and every single one of you. This decluttering journey has not been easy, but it has been so worth it, so rewarding for us, and we're just loving having less stuff, and I cannot wait to get to our basement declutter very soon. But that is all for me this week. Again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new. Turn your notification bells on so you don't miss any of my future uploads. And I hope that I will see you again next week for another video.